So I wanted to start today by talking about my clients. Don't worry, I'm not going to reveal anything. But just to say that they're extraordinary people and they do amazing things in their families, in their relationships, in the world. And when I work with them around their self-doubt or inner criticism, most of them have, at least initially, some sort of aversion to working on themselves. They might feel a bit ashamed, or often there's some sort of story in the background that working on themselves is somehow selfish. And I get it. I have felt the same way for most of my life, less so now. Uh, and I want to be super clear. These are not narcissistic people. They're often the opposite. Givers in caregiving roles in their family, in workplaces, in social change spaces. But yeah, they have this story in the background that because they actually focus on others, that focusing on themselves is somehow not permissible in some way. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is to make the case that when you deeply focus on yourself, it's not selfish. It's actually the opposite. It's super, super important. Yes, for you, but even more so for your relationships and your work in the world, because these things don't exist in isolation. They're all intricately woven. And so if you want to give a bigger gift to the we and to the us, then working on your I can really help that. So I wanted to make that case today, and I'm going to because I feel really strongly about it. Okay, so here's the case. Knowing yourself directly impacts your relationships and your work in a number of ways. Number one, you're less likely to project onto others. So when we know ourselves, we kind of can be a bit more discerning about what's our stuff and what's other people's stuff. And that's really relieving because, when there's relationship conflicts, it means that you can go, oh, maybe this is actually more something that I'm working with. And it's maybe not got to do with them, but more got to do with some of the stuff I'm processing. Or it could be that you're in a relationship conflict and you go, it's interesting. I don't really have any connection to this. Maybe this actually isn't even my stuff. It's more something that's going on for them. And so I can just give them grace and let it be. So, less likely to project onto others. And of course, when we do that, when we don't project onto others as much, we get less distress and less conflict. We can't avoid conflict. We need conflict, but we get less of it when we can be clearer. You can stand for your power more when you understand your power, your personal power. And I know a lot of people have reactions to the word power because of usually historical abuse of power. But our personal power is not a dirty word. And our personal power, the more we can understand it, the better it is for us. So you can stand for yourself and your own power when you do some inner work and you kind of understand it a bit. You feel more powerful, have more agency as well. And because of that, funnily enough, you're less likely to send mixed messages in relationships and in communication And you're less likely to abuse your power, which is one of those things that actually, the more you celebrate and own your power, the less likely you are to abuse it because you're aware of it. So it's one of those ones. Hopefully they stay up. When you understand yourself, and because of all these things, you have less communication breakdowns. The other thing about spending some time focusing on yourself is that you can understand that you are more than any one thing. You are many, many things, all different parts of yourself that are all working away in the background. And the more you can understand that, the more you can really appreciate all your own diversity. And you can become sort of more at peace with your own differences, your own internal differences. Part of me is really quiet and introverted, and another part of me is really extroverted. And that's okay. I've got two parts of me, much more than two parts, actually. So you can become more at peace with your own differences, which is awesome, by the way. And when you become more at peace with your own differences, you become more open and accepting of others' differences. And this one is a huge one for our work in the world. We need to understand each other better. And we need to understand and appreciate and love our differences. And it starts within. So that's a big one, that one. When you understand yourself more, you're less at the mercy of comparisons. Now, this is a tricky one. Hey, I've struggled with this a lot of my life. And I'm not free of it. I'll be honest. But there's less of it when you understand yourself better because you can start to see what draws you and what catches you and what hooks you. So you become less at the mercy of comparisons. And when you're less at the mercy of comparisons, you're less likely to criticize someone else because you resent what they have. And you can more get in touch with what the pull is to that for yourself rather than make it about them. This is one of my favorites. When you work on yourself, you develop tools because that's the whole point, right? So you can work with stuff as it comes up. And when you have tools to help others when they need it too. Not that you're kind of like going around dishing out information to everybody, particularly if they don't want it. But, you can, yeah, you have tools. And, when your friends are stuck, you can give them some advice if they want it or if they ask. So you have some tools. And when you do work on yourself, you know how to harness your resources because you've learnt you've got resources. And usually where they apply, when you can use them, what are the good conditions for, oh, when this happens, I know I can do this. And you build those over time. And so what happens is that when life deals you lemons, is that the saying? When life deals you lemons, you've got resources to draw on and you can harness them for fit for purpose. It's a really good one. Can we even see it down there? There it is. And because of that, yeah, you're better able to weather life's storms because you've got resources, you've developed them, and you know what you can use when. That's related to being also having tools to help others when you need it, when they need it. I love this one. You get in your own way less. I've spent most of my life getting in my own way. And when you do work on yourself, you can catch it. So you just get in your own way less, which is relieving, frankly. So that's a good one. Put that over here. And when you get in your own way less, you can access the full spectrum of your gifts and you can bring them to the world, which is what we all need and is super powerful, important, and necessary. So, yay for that one. So, 14 reasons to start with. And the bottom line is if you know and understand yourself deeply, you can have better relationships and essentially maximize your potential to do even more good in the world. I like to think of this as inner work for outer impact. As you probably can tell, I am really passionate about supporting people to understand themselves more deeply so that they can heal, feel more whole, do more amazing things, have more energy for the things that are important to them and sustain them. And ultimately, so that people can bring their fullest selves to the world because I genuinely believe our planet needs it. So if you find yourself struggling with self doubt or inner criticism or self belief, perhaps you might be fighting voices in your head, or you might find yourself stuck in relationship challenges that are cycling, or work challenges that are cycling, or getting activated and frustrated by others, or perhaps even that you just notice that you can't find the time or even bring yourself to give yourself the time to focus on things that bring you joy or make you happy, then chances are something in my resource cupboard might be useful for you. So there are two ways that you can access my resource cupboard. One is working with me one-on-one. So you can find the link in the bio or down below, depending on what this is showing on. And secondly, in these videos, I'm going to start to share different tools and different musings based on different ways that we can come at self-doubt and inner criticism. And I do that because we're all really different. And what works for one person at one point in time won't work for somebody else. And so we need to find what works for us. So I thought if I share different things from what I'm calling the different tubs, here's a sneak peek. Here's my resource cupboard. These are some of the different tubs that I use. If I share different things, you can test and try and hopefully find something that works for you.